Welcome back, artists. Here we are again studying the artist Henri Rousseau. And I want to start by looking first again at his painting, Myself the Artist and Landscape. One of the things I want you to observe here is the fact that even though he's painted himself very simply, do you see how big he's made his eyes? Yeah. Eyes are the window to the soul. There's no such thing as making anything too big in art. There's only a problem with making things too small, which leads us down here to his hand. The hand that he's showing us that's holding the paintbrush. Did you realize, class, that your hand is large enough that it will cover your entire face? Now, a lot of young artists try very hard to make the hands the size they think they are, and they're always too small. Remember, your hand is big enough to cover your face. And in this painting, you can see that Henri's hand would never cover that face. I also mentioned to you the fact that he had written on his palette. You know, I thought he'd written his name, but he didn't. I looked again. Henri painted this picture in 1890. And he has two names on this palette, Clemente and Josephine. Now, I told you that Henri had married at a very young age, and he loved his first wife so much. He even wrote her a waltz. The waltz is called Clementine, but her name was actually Clemente. The first name that you're going to see upside down on this palette is the name Clemente. He loved Clemente very much. In fact, they ended up having 6 children together, but only one lived to be an adult, his daughter Josephine. I have told you before that in those days, children often died. There were so many problems, and we didn't have immunizations. We didn't understand bacteria. We didn't know about viruses, and children died. Clemente died too. Clemente died in 1890 and left Henri all alone, or 1888, excuse me, and left Henri all alone. Now, Henri painted this picture in 1890. Notice he is the most important thing in this picture. Everything else is teeny tiny by comparison with Henri, who commands the center of the stage. Myself, the artist, and landscape. You know, one of the things I love about this picture, we talked about the balloon. Let's talk about the sun. Do you see how he has put the sun in front of the cloud? Isn't that something? Very naive. Remember, we used that word last time, childlike. Now, in 1888, Clemente died. Henri committed himself to his art. In fact, he even retired early at the age of 46 from his toll booth so that he could paint full time. He had a pension, which meant that every month he got a certain amount of money for having worked at the toll booth for so many years. He got a pension, but that pension barely paid the expenses. He continued to paint, and we're going to talk about that, but I want you to know that in 1898, 11 years after Clemente had died, Henri married again. He married a widow, and her name is right here, Josephine. Yeah. So after he painted this picture, he put Clemente's name into it, and then 10 years later, he added Josephine's name. You can see that the paint looks different. It's obvious that he painted her name, Josephine's name at a different time. Okay. There were many artists who looked at this painting, and they liked it. Now, generally, the academics just simply laughed. But there were plenty of independent artists by this point, artists who didn't want to follow the rules, artists who believed that there was more than one way to say art. And there were many people who were looking at his paintings with interest. And this was one of the first paintings that interested people. Now, the one that followed next, of course, was the one that got him in trouble. Surprised. Lots of people looked at that painting and thought it was pretty amazing, even though he was never allowed to share it again in a show. Surprised was well received by a lot of artists. No, he was not making pictures realistic. He was not producing academic paintings. But look at this picture. There is so much to see. Look at all those leaves. Look at all those plants. Look at that tiger. Well, he traced it, but that's okay. Check out the storm, the rain, the trees, and how they're bending. Boy, he has really given you a feeling in this picture, hasn't he? After this painting, one of the next paintings that became very well received. It became very well received by many artists, certainly not everybody. Nobody wanted to buy his paintings, but people were looking at him. Artists were looking at him. This is one of my most favorite paintings by Henri Rousseau. He painted this picture in 1897, and it is called The Sleeping Gypsy. Look at that. Check out the gypsy who's sound asleep. And notice the gypsy seems to be missing an arm. Does he look comfortable lying there in the sand? He doesn't even look like he's laying comfortably. At least the hand's a little bigger, and the feet are almost the correct size. Check out that lion. Is he hungry? Or is he just curious about the man who has fallen asleep in the middle of the desert? Did I say desert? Do lions live in the desert? Henri didn't know that. Can you see the man in the moon? Isn't that lovely? When he painted the moon, he even painted the man in the moon. Isn't that great? Henri Rousseau had his own ideas about art. Henri Rousseau painted his imagination. Okay. Now we're getting to the good stuff. First off, did you finish your flowers? Did you paint a cactus or draw a cactus? You know, I didn't spend any time drawing those things with you in our last meeting, but I'm hoping that you started by looking at the whole shape, figuring out the geometric shape that made up the shape of your plant or your flower. And then I'm hoping you went ahead. I want to show you something that came in the mail the other day. I love catalogs. And I get an awful lot of plant catalogs. And I want to point this out to you because if ever you need to draw a flower, check that out. You don't even have to go out into the garden. You don't have to sneak over the fence and steal a dandelion from your neighbors. You'd never do that anyway, would you? All right, you can just look for pictures and copy those pictures out of magazines. I've already told you, copying is fine. Artists copy each other and they copy other pictures. Artists copy artists all the time. You know, when you copy an artist, when you sit down and you really look at what they've made and you copy them, you're learning things. You're learning how they did what they did. Copying is actually a legitimate part of learning how to do art. Look at that beautiful flower. I think I want that one in my garden. It's a columbine. Isn't it beautiful? So don't ever be afraid to look at catalogs. Catalogs are a great place to find pictures. And don't ever throw the catalogs away. Catalogs are wonderful for doing collage. We might even get to do a little bit of that later on. I love collage. After I left you last time, I went on a field trip. I couldn't take you with me, but I took a lot of pictures. After I left you last time, I decided to take a trip to one of my most favorite places in the world. It's closed right now, so I called them up and I asked them if I could come take pictures so that you could see these very special things. Last week, I took a trip to California Carnivorous. How many of you been there? It is an incredible place. I took a lot of photographs of the carnivorous plants that they have there. I took particularly some pictures of the pitcher plants. I love pitcher plants. Check this out. Oh my gosh. Now, do you think this is a plant that might belong in our jungle? Look at the hood on top. Look at the open pitcher down below. And you know what's down there? Some wonderful juices. They smell really good to plants and to animals, I mean. And animals just can't even resist crawling down inside and checking out that yummy, delicious smell, which of course is really an enzyme that helps to digest their food. And who is their food? The little bug who crawled inside. Carnivorous plants. I love them. Check these out. Some more of the hooded pitcher plants. And you can see there's a different kind back here with flowers. Look at the colors. Look at the colors in these plants. Oh my gosh, look at that white one. I love the white ones. There's all kinds of little ones down in here too. Oh, wait. Do I see a Venus flytrap maybe? I had such a nice talk with Damon, who is part owner of California Carnivorous. And do you know, class, that he went to school at Gravenstein? And you know that I was his art teacher when he was a little boy? Yeah. Isn't that a beautiful hood? Love this photograph. You can see how that hood comes up over the top. It just looks like a regular leaf, right? But it's really an umbrella for the pitcher, isn't it? And then the pitcher part is long down to the base of the plant. And then, of course, the bugs crawl down and, oops, they fall into the good juices, the enzymes, and get eaten. Look at all these flowers. The actual pitcher of this plant is way down below these flowers. You can't really see the pitcher part. It's very close to the ground. But look at those flowers. Look at the colors. Good heavens, they're beautiful. Oh, look at the white ones. I love the white ones. Damon told me a wonderful story about these white pitcher plants. I want to share it with you because I thought it was so cool. I'm very attracted to the white ones. I don't know why. But he told me that unlike the other pitcher plants, these white ones don't make a whole lot of pitchers during the summer when all the other ones are doing their pitchers. The white ones only have a few pitchers during the summer until September. And then in September, all of a sudden, they put up a whole bunch of pitchers. So there's just whole bunches of them in their pots. And they do that for a very special reason. Because in September, the full moon is called the harvest moon. It is the biggest and the brightest moon of the year. And the pitcher plants are there at night, glowing in the dark, glowing from the light of the moon. And there in September, they time it, class, for the full moon. They're all sitting there with their little pitchers wide open, and boy, do they have a feast of bugs that night. And then shortly after the full moon passes, all of the pitchers wither and the plant goes to sleep for the winter. Isn't that incredible? One more picture I took, and I had to share this with you. It's not a carnivorous plant, but this is a plant. Oh my gosh, check this out. Do you realize that one leaf from this plant, which is called Gonera, one leaf can be 7 feet across? You could sit inside it like a chair. And you know what's really wonderful about this? My favorite thing? Dinosaurs used to eat it. It was alive. in the age of dinosaurs. Isn't that amazing? And so you have these huge leaves. Can't have one in my garden. My garden's too small. It would take up all the space. I had a wonderful time at California Carnivorous, and I've even included a little tag at the end of my lesson today so that you can go to California Carnivorous. They have some great videos on their website, and you can look at these videos. They talk a lot about their plants. These people are the most knowledgeable people in the United States, possibly the world, on carnivorous plants. We are so fortunate to have their organization here in Sebastopol, and I felt so lucky to go and visit. So, all right. Oh, I have a friend here because yes, I went to California Carnivorous, and yes, I brought one back. Well, actually, I brought a few. Look at this guy. Hi. He looks like he's ready to say hello, doesn't he? This is a Sarracenia called Abandoned Hope. Isn't he beautiful? This is a pitcher plant. And today, during our lesson, we are going to draw this pitcher plant. I love the fact that he looks like he's right about ready to say something to me. Like, okay, let's get started. Now, I already showed you that there is a hood on top of this plant. It's kind of like an umbrella. And if I pick up the pot and I show you, it's shaped kind of like one of my favorite heart leaves, isn't it? When you look at this leaf, remember, first job, what is the overall shape? What would you call that shape? Oh, do you see what's underneath here? Do you see all these guys growing up? These are all honeydew plants, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but in my garden, they have already caught on almost every one of these branches, there's a little bug. They were going crazy out there having lunch. It's so cool. Teeny tiny bugs. I didn't know I had that many bugs in my garden. Yeah, it's happy. There's quite a few bugs inside too. And the other thing I was watching with some friends the other day, we watched a spider crawl inside and sit right at the top. I think the spider was too smart to go all the way down inside to the good smelling sticky juice down there. I think this was a very smart spider, and I think he was sitting there waiting for a fly to come by so he could grab it before it got into the sticky stuff, and the pitcher got to eat it. All right, now let's draw this guy. First shape I see is a very tall triangle. Do you see that very tall triangle? But the top is kind of rounded, isn't it? You want to have that rounded top. Let's see if I can keep him in there and give myself enough room to draw here. I'm kind of cramped. Sorry for all the noise. All right, so we have kind of a rounded top here. A rounded top and a very long triangular body. Now when we come back up to the top, we can see that there's a rounded part here too. In fact, that shape right there has a name. We've talked about that name before. If I turn him over and lift his hood a little bit, can you see a circle there? But when I put him down this way, it doesn't look like a circle anymore. It looks more like an oval, doesn't it? Well, this has an art name. We call this an ellipse. We can't call it a circle. We can't call it an oval because we've already determined that the shape is really a circle. When we looked, we saw a circle, not an oval. So we are going to draw an ellipse, which is nothing more than a squashed circle, all right? So I've got an ellipse here. This is going to talk about the mouth of the pitcher plant. And then, of course, his body is coming down like this. Can you all see this beautiful vein that's running down the front? Can you see that vein? Yeah, it's kind of wiggly waggly. I'm going to draw that down the front. Then I notice he's got a little lip there. right here at the top. So I'm going to define that. Now, notice that his ellipse comes back and then it sways out, comes up high, comes out here, and sways back to the back of the ellipse. Isn't that kind of cool? And look, we've just drawn a pitcher plant. Now that's the beginning. That's the bare bones. We'll call that the bare bones. After we've gotten this basic shape in, then we get to do the fun part. And for me, it's all these veins. We talked about veins before when we were looking at leaves before. And look at how beautifully defined they are here. We have a combination of, I've got this kind of a magenta-y color. Doesn't even tell me what its name is, magenta-y color. And I've got some other crayons here that I could add to it. Got a good old purple here. So I'm going to start by just redefining the edge. You can draw along with me if you want to. You are going to get a drawing assignment today, and you are going to love this assignment. You are going to want to do this assignment. Trust me, you will. All right, so we're going to be drawing this guy. I notice he has veins all the way down. Do you have to copy every single vein? Of course not. First off, perfect is boring, and besides, we're artists. We're just here to give an impression, an idea of what it was we saw. We do not have to make things perfect. Now, I will tell you this. If you want to become a botanical artists work slowly and carefully, and they do copy what they see. They are like living photographs. They're a living camera, let's put it that way. And they actually recreate the plant. Boy, it's almost as perfect as real. But you know me, I don't really care much about perfect. I want to see your imagination. That's what Henri used. He used his imagination for everything. All right, I'm getting some veins going down here. Love these veins. Okay. And then, oh my gosh, look at the veins coming up through here. Now, I want you to notice something. This big vein in the middle goes straight up, right? But in order to make this look a little 3D, we're going to want to loop it around a little bit so that we give some dimension to our hood. So instead of just drawing it straight, I'm going to put in kind of a curve here. And then I'm just going to keep adding veins. We've got another vein coming down here. Yeah, you can see it going into the inside, but it doesn't come all the way and attach to the front because this is on the inside of the hood. Oh yeah. There's even, let's see if we can show this. This part leans down a little bit. And if I wanted to show that, what I would do is I'd come along here and I'd come in a little bit and show this piece that's leaning down. I keep breaking my crayons. Does that matter if you have a broken crayon? No. No. Whenever you break your materials, they still work just fine. All right, so these veins are showing back here, and they're really going in a different direction because this is the back side of the lip. Do you see that? That's the back side of the umbrella part. And then we have the front side here. Now, it's going to take me a while to get all these veins in, so I'm going to go fast. I don't want you to go fast when you draw your pitcher plant. And I notice that the veins get smaller when we get to the edge of the hood. I want you to go slowly, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay, so that's all the veins I'm going to show you for right now. I think I'm going to grab my red crayon. Well, how about a pink one? I can't seem to find my red again. And I'm going to put a little bit of pink in here. But I'm going to add a new material today. We haven't done any, maybe you have, but I haven't. I only just found them. I'm going to be using some markers. You know, markers are like using watercolor, only they're in a pen form, and it makes it a little easier to control your color. I'm going to try adding and see what happens. I've got a green here, a light green. I'm going to try adding some light green. Oh, I kind of like that texture I'm getting. Notice I'm drawing on the side. I'm not drawing on the point. I'm drawing on the side. I'm getting a little bit of texture here. Notice if I drew hard, this marker will not cover up. It's what we call a resist. The marker will not cover my crayon. My crayon is made out of wax. My marker, of course, is more like a watercolor. So if you're using crayon and watercolor, and you can do it one way or the other. You can put this on afterwards, the wax on afterwards. Ooh, in fact, it even blends with the color of the marker underneath. You can start by using your marker first if you want to. And you can use your marker as much or as little as you think that is needed in the picture. Notice it gets harder for me to get the green to show because there's crayon there, and the crayon is resisting. It says, no, I was here first. You can trick it, of course, by putting your marker on first and then coming back with your crayon if you want to. Okay. Let's try, oh. All right, we're going to have a little discussion here. You see what color I've got in my hand? And you know that I'm always telling you there's no such thing as black in nature, right? No black in nature. Guess what one of Henri's favorite colors was? Black. And that's what he painted, was nature. All right, fine. I'm going to use my black crayon. Now, see, I can put my black over the top of my marker, and it works. But I can't get my marker to go over the top of the crayon because the wax from the crayon resists. Okay, things that are darker are farther away, appear to be farther away. Things that are lighter are closer to you. So I'm going to get a little more of this black. Look at the texture I'm getting from my drawing board. Isn't that interesting? Okay, I might go back and do some more veins, come in with some other colors. And I'm going to take my time, and I'm really going to finish up I'm adding some different kinds of green here because I want to. And I am an artist, and I get to do it any way I want to. Nobody has the right to tell me I'm wrong. They may say, yeah, I don't like it. I'm not buying your picture. Well, that's okay with me. I'm still going to do it the way I want it, right? What looks good to me? There's a lot of red back here. Let's see if I can get some of the red in there. This is called mixed media, what we're doing now. We're mixing up our media. You can also use colored pencils with this. Colored pencils would be great. I just haven't found mine yet. I'll find them, and then we'll do some drawing with the colored pencils too. Oh, this has a lot of red in it over here. This part doesn't want to because I already put a lot of crayon on. Okay, and I see that there's a lot of red right around the lip. Did you notice something here? The more colors I put into this, the more interesting my picture is becoming. A little too much red right up in there, but hey, perfect is boring. Get some more red coming down this way. Hard to do because I already put a lot of crayon on there. Okay, so you've got the idea. That's my picture plant. What do you think? It's not saying anything. Okay, so here's the deal. I want you to color a picture plant for me. I don't care how or what materials you use. I want you to create a beautiful colored picture plant for me. I want you to even have more color in it than this. And when you are finished, I would like you to take a photograph of it. Just click a picture and send it to me to my email at school. Once I've received your drawing and everybody else's drawing, I'm going to look at them all. Now save them, save them, save them. Don't, this is something that's going to go in our jungle picture, that's going to go in our mural eventually. But I'm going to look at all of them, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Anybody who sends me a picture plant drawing, I'm going to take their name, and I'm going to put it in a bowl. And I'm going to give you, let's see, today is the 11th or the 12th of May, something like that. I'm going to give you until June 1st. June 1st to send in your picture plant drawing to me. Just make a little copy of it. Send me a picture of it. Your parents know how to do this. You probably know how to do it better than I do. Send that picture to me, and then I'm going to put your name in a bowl, and I'm going to squiggle it around, and I'm going to pull one of those names out. Anybody who participates and sends me a picture, anybody who makes their picture plant and sends me a picture is going to be eligible to go in that bowl. Then, once I've pulled that name out, whoever I pulled, I have a present for you. Check this out. When I was at California Carnivorous, I got you a picture plant too. So this little guy is waiting for a new home. I'm waiting for a new home. And if you make a picture plant drawing, color it in beautiful. Look at the colors in this thing. This thing is just gorgeous. Look at it from the back even. Did I say you had to color it from the front? You can color it from the back. You can color it from the side. And what you can do is you can either go online and get a picture, look in a book, get a picture. You can copy what I've done here. You can look at mine. You are going to color a picture plant. And you have until June 1st to do this. And once you've finished it, send me a picture. I will put your name in the bowl, and you might be the one who gets to take home a little Sarracenia abandoned hope of your very own. Okay, I think that's good for today. Next week, our next class, I am going to have a very special visitor. You will not want to miss the next class. We're almost there, class. We're almost there. I did promise to show you a jungle today, didn't I? All right, I'm going to show you a jungle. There's one in here. I didn't mark it, so I think I'm going to show you a jungle. Let me put it that way. There's one jungle in here I'd like to start by sharing with you. Here it is. We're going to talk about jungles next week. We're going to look at them all. Well, it's several of them anyway. Here is one of Henri's jungles. Oh my gosh, just look at it right now. You're going to notice some very interesting parts to this jungle. Just look at it this week. And next week we're going to start talking about it. Because next week, after next week, we will have created all the different parts that are going to go into our jungles. So next week, we are going to get ready to do our own painting. And I'll have some things to talk to you about then as far as how you're going to do your own painting. That'll also be the point at which I will be asking you to bring all your jungle pieces to school. Your tree trunks, your leaves all cut out, your flowers all cut out, your pitcher plants all cut out, your cacti, all the elements that we have been practicing lesson after lesson, we are going to put together and create our jungle mural. In the meantime, you are going to be painting your own jungle picture at home. We're just about there. I'm so excited. I'll see you next time. Thank you.